Hey guys, it's Rosina and welcome back to the channel. Now, as you can see from the title, today's video is going to be about the 90s. Now, I am a 90s kid. I know, can't really tell right now because I'm such an adult, but I was born in the 90s. I was born in 1994, and I guess in a way that's the cusp of being a late millennial. Because yes, I am also a millennial, and I know us millennials get a bad rep from both the boomers and the Gen Z. Because to Gen Z, we're old, and to the boomers, we are ruining every single industry. And that's right, me alone. I'm the one destroying all those industries. Anyway, so yeah, we're going to be talking about the 90s and all the stuff I remember growing up with, and I'm sure a lot of my fellow millennials will find the nostalgia in it. So I guess maybe I'll do different chapters and you can click throughout the video to find what one you want to, hear about. So let's get started. I guess I can start off with talking about like what it was like living in the 90s. I mean, that was when computers and internet started to be a thing, and not everybody owned a computer in the 90s. It was not a, I guess I'd call it essential, but it was more of a luxury. If you could get a computer, you were lucky. And our family was lucky enough with my dad, being able to afford to get us a computer. And let me tell you, that thing was a dinosaur. Does anybody remember Windows 95? Anybody? I know I do. We're now at Windows 11, which numbers-wise, that doesn't make any sense, but I guess that's what Windows wanted to do. So we're at Windows 11 now. But let me tell you, Windows 95 was so fun. Does anybody remember like the whole screensaver and you could go through like a brick maze and stuff like that? Or let's say like with DVDs, how you'd have like the whole screen like, ooh, let's watch the DVD go to the edge, and if it gets right to the edge, you go, oh, everyone gets so excited about that. But yeah, growing up in the 90s, that's when internet came in, and it's not like it was today. You had to type in www dot to actually go to a website. You don't have to do like the little shortcuts that we have now. And speaking of computers, I remember in school how we used to have the iMac, and it was like those big, bulky computers that had like so many different colors too. I think our school had like a bunch of orange ones, I think. If I'm remembering correctly in elementary school, I think they were orange. But like those were the computers you wanted because they were all colorful and they had different colors. And I mean, that's kind of like the computers that were in school, I would think. Then there was phones back in the 90s where it wasn't like, like our smartphones that we have now. They were some that were cordless, but we grew up with having phones that were still connected to a wire, like a little cord. And I thought it was so funny because like you couldn't really leave that spot when you'd have a phone call. You had to stay there. And if anybody came in your little phone call, no privacy. And speaking of those kind of phones, in my parents' house, we have a phone booth that has like one of the ones that you kind of have to go every number and like twirl the, I don't know exactly what it's called. Like I can show a picture of what it kind of looks like, but we had like that kind of phone, and we still have it. And let me tell you, it still works. You don't have to put money into it because yeah, you had to use to put money to make phone calls, and there were actually phone booths out in the streets that you could make a phone call, and you usually would have to call the operator to be able to connect to other people. That's how it was back in the day. It wasn't as simple as it is now. And everyone likes to say that we had it easy. I don't know. You younger generations have it probably a lot more easier than we did. But I digress. All right, let's talk about the toys. Now, there was a bunch of toys back in the day in the 90s that we had. I remember we had a easy bake oven. Now, I think that's still a thing. I'm not exactly sure, but I know that there's been articles where they're now dangerous. They can actually hurt the children, which that's never happened to me or my siblings, but like I wouldn't be surprised anymore. If you have like a really old easy bake oven still, that's probably a hazard. But we had that, and I thought it was a fun time. It was basically probably how I got my love of an air fryer. That's probably why millennials love air fryers. It's probably because of the easy bake oven. We had that, and then there was the old school Pokemon cards. I mean, I can probably grab one of the really old ones. Hang on one second. Like, here's an example. We have it's the old horsey one. This was from back when I was a kid. And you can tell that the artwork's different. And I think it says on here, yeah, 1995. So this card is from 95. So, you know, we had like these. Obviously, like the newer ones, like look so much different. Like the artwork is so different now. I kind of like the old school art. That's just me, but yeah, so like those were the old Pokemon cards. And I had a whole bunch. I think at the time, I don't know what happened, but I used to have like the really old like Charizard card. I don't remember what I did. I was probably dumb and traded it, which I should have kept it, but I digress on that one. But there was also like, speaking of basically Nintendo and Pokemon, we had the original Game Boy. I can show a picture. It was the gray one. I think it only came in gray at the time. But like we had that. That was a bulky thing. I mean, if everybody ever seen a Game Boy, you know those things are thick with 2 C's. See, I'm hip. But yeah, we had that. And of course, like everybody, we were great at Tetris because we'd always play Tetris. And let me tell you, even now, I'm still really good at Tetris. And then, I gotta think of other ones. Tamagotchi. Any millennial remember a Tamagotchi? I think I still have one. I got a new one because they still have them around, which actually really makes me happy that Tamagotchis are still around. If you don't know what a Tamagotchi is, it was like this little gadget that you had to grow a pet. Basically a pet. And you had to feed it, you had to play with it, you had to do so many things. And like, obviously if you didn't take care of it, you'd see little like poop emoticons. And that's when you had to clean them and everything. But like, you can actually kill those things. So you gotta be careful when you have a Tamagotchi. I have mine, but I have not turned it on yet because I'm afraid I'm going to not focus on it because of my ADHD. And it's gonna die, and then I'm gonna be very sad because I got the Gudetama one, and I don't want to kill Gudetama. But yeah, we had those, and then there were Beanie Babies. Now, I don't have my Beanie Babies with me here. I believe they're still at home, and I'm pretty sure we still have some. I'll have to go through the boxes of toys, but I remember I had a bunch of Beanie Babies, and I think some of them still have the tag. But there was like there was the Red Bull, there was, obviously everyone knows the Princess Diana one. We didn't have that one, but we had the bears as well. But Beanie Babies were like the craze back then. Everybody wanted a Beanie Baby. That's what everybody wanted, you know? And then another craze was probably American Girl dolls. Now, I can't exactly remember who I had. I think I had Kit. I think that's what her name was. I think that's the one I had. But I will tell you, the other thing I had was a Bitty Baby. And a Bitty Baby was part of the American Girl doll company. And I actually had 2 of the same one. And funny story about that is the one I had an accident. Me and my sister were playing and she hit my Bitty Baby with a toy and broke her eye. So the eye just kind of kept closing and it wouldn't stay open. So my mom told me, she's like, we're gonna take Bitty Baby. That's literally what I named her. She didn't have a name. I literally just named her Bitty Baby. That's how creative I am with names. Yeah, she was like, we're gonna take Bitty Baby to the doll hospital and they're gonna make her all better. And of course, as a kid, you know, you're like, oh my God, you know. And For some reason, I told my mom, I was like, make sure that they feed her corn. She really likes corn. And I'm like, now that I think about it now, that's so weird. I was a weird kid. I'm gonna make myself cry because I'm laughing so much. Yeah, so she sends it off to get fixed. And, they bring the doll back and they overstuffed her. And my mom's like, she didn't think I would notice, but for some reason, I guess I was very smart because I felt her and I looked at her and I said, this isn't Bitty Baby. She thought she could pull a fast one on me and thought, I wouldn't tell, but I did. And I said, I think they gave me the wrong Bitty Baby. So she called them up and I guess they did get rid of my original or something like that, but they found it, I guess, because she had a little mark on the back of her head. I could tell. I remember she had a little mark and I guess something happened. I don't know, but like now I have two. So to tell the difference, it's Bitty Baby 1 and then Bitty Baby 2. Like I said, I was not creative as a kid for names. Polly Pockets. I think Polly Pockets are still a thing. I don't know. I'd have to look it up, but I know they were different. They weren't the same as what they used to be. Like, I can show a picture of what it used to look like, what I remember. But I also had a Wizard of Oz one. They had a Wizard of Oz one. That one's up north at my family's cottage. So maybe someday if I go up there, I'll show you guys my Polly Pockets. But I remember one that we kept that's basically just the bottom part, so just the legs. I don't know what happened to the top of her. Probably got ran over by a vacuum, but like we still have it, and I don't know why. But she just became still a citizen of our little play time of being Polly Pockets, so we had that. And then obviously, as everybody else, we had Barbies as well, and I still have my Barbies. I think they're still in the closet back at home. I hope Mom didn't get rid of my Barbies. I'd be so sad. But I did have Barbies too. I did actually find one of my 90s toys though. Does anybody remember a Furby? Now, I know they look different now. They look even creepier than they used to, but like, I know they're different though. They now can learn emotions, I think, and the way you treat it is the way it acts. I think that's what it is now. But not our old ones. I mean, these are still kind of creepy, but But here's my Furby. Now, I don't have his batteries in or anything because he will not shut up because that's always what it was. But I mean, look at those eyes. I mean, I can make the noises for you. It's you can stick your finger in his mouth and press the tongue, and he goes yum, and then he'd like repeat sounds or go like ah and like stuff like that. He made some weird noises. If I had time, I'd unscrew the bottom and put batteries in, but I'm not feeling it right now. I will say, if you have him on, he will never shut up. Like my dad hated this thing. He hated the Furbies. And I remember one time as a kid, one of the neighbor kids came over and we were hanging out, and she apparently really did not like my Furby because she took it and threw it across the room to hit a wall and broke my Furby. So now I have this one. But my grandma got so mad too. My grandma was watching us, and my grandma got so mad and kicked her out. She's like, get out of this house. So don't mess with my Furby. Yeah, we had a bunch of toys from the 90s. I don't want to name them all because this video would be way too long. So we'll move on to the next thing. Also, I want to say that there's one 90s toy that I always wanted, and I hope I can get it someday. I really want it. It was the Pikachu N64, and I think there's a way for me to get it. Probably from my husband's work. I might be able to get it, but that's the one I always wanted, and I want to get Pokemon Snap with it, the original, because I have the version for the Switch, but I want the original. So maybe someday I'll get it, but that would be a toy that I would love to get. Now let's talk 90s shows. Now, we'll start off with ones that I watched when I was, very little. So like, toddler, elementary age. We would obviously watch Barney the Dinosaur. Anybody remember Barney? I could do the theme song, but I don't want to get claimed for that. I'll do a little bit. Barney is a dinosaur from our imagination. And like, I loved Barney as a kid. I even have, and I've always been embarrassed about it when I was a kid because I would get teased for it because my siblings like to tease me by telling their friends. I had two cassette tapes for a Barney birthday video. So they'd make ones where you're included. So it'd say like happy birthday, and then your name. And they had like little cartoon cutout things. They put your face on it, on like a little cartoon body and things like that. It was like really old school. So like not like the animations today, but I had two of them, but it's also because they kept mispronouncing my name. Mom had to have them redo it to actually say my name right. And they kind of got it close. But I thought it was kind of fun to have that. And let me say, Barney looks so much better back in the 90s. This new version for this reboot, what did they do to my boy? They yassified him. How could they do that to my boy? They massacred my boy. Anyway, I do want to say my favorite Barney episode or like movie or whatever was the space one where they got to explore space and everything. That was my favorite Barney episode. Everybody should tell me their favorite Barney episode if you've watched Barney. There was other shows like Muppet Babies. There was obviously the Teletubbies. Everybody remember that baby son? How old is she now? She's like an adult now, isn't she? Damn. Time flies. I feel old. But yeah, who's everybody's favorite Teletubbies character? Mine was Poe. Poe was my favorite. It's because I like the color red. So I thought Poe was my favorite. You guys should tell me your favorite Teletubby. Then there was one that I'm not sure everybody knows about. I'm not going to be like that, hipster person that says, oh, I knew it before it was cool. But does anybody remember the show Fraggle Rock? I can kind of tell you a little bit about it. So Fraggle Rock is basically there's a bunch of little characters called Fraggles. And they live inside of this guy's house, like in the walls. But like, you'd think in the walls it'd be so small, but like for some reason, going in there, it's like a big, huge world. And they do singing and dancing, and they go on all these kinds of adventures. There was one quote in the show that I really thought it was funny where a red ball comes in through the hole that goes to the human world. And it's just a little red ball, and one of the characters is like, it's a hideous round thing. And it was a really funny show, and I don't know if a lot of people know about it because I asked my husband about it, and he's never heard of Fraggle Rock. And he's a year younger than me. So I guess I was lucky in a way. And that was our one favorite show as us siblings were growing up. And I still remember the song for that too. It was Dance Your Cares Away, Worries for Another Day, Let the Music Play, Down in Fraggle Rock. And like I said, I'm not going to sing the rest of the song. I don't want to get in trouble. But, yeah, it was a great show. I thought it was really funny. People should look it up because I think the newest Fraggle Rock movie was not too long ago. I know it was in like the 2010s, I think. But everybody should look up what Fraggle Rock is. It's a great show. I thought it was really funny and the characters were cute. And they were made by Jim Henson, the one that did Sesame Street and the Muppets and stuff like that. I think it was Sesame Street. I'll have to look that up again. But I know it's the Muppets for sure, though. He's the creator of the Muppets. Now, there were some shows back in the 90s that weren't really appropriate for kids. When we look back, you're like, ooh, that was kind of more of an adult type joke. Really, kids should not be watching this. Like Ren and Stimpy. Like, that show was interesting. I liked it. I thought it was a funny show. But like I said, it would not be considered a kid's show today. Because there was a lot of sexual innuendos. There was just not appropriate things for kids. And there was, everyone always talks about it, the Rocko's Modern Life clip where Rocco's working basically as a phone operator. And you notice in the background the sign, what it says and everything. And it's like, ooh. not really appropriate for a kid either. And then I guess, in a way, Cow and Chicken wasn't exactly appropriate as well. But I mean, there were other shows that were fine, in a way. But even now, some aren't considered really appropriate for kids. Like Rugrats. I don't know how people can get up in arms about that. I thought it was fine. But I guess, yeah, it's a bunch of babies being left to their own devices and getting into mischief and probably getting harmed, and no adult was watching them. Except for Grandpa, who also had his own issues. But, I mean, there were so many 90s shows that I liked. Yeah, there were ones that weren't appropriate for kids. And obviously learning about the whole Nickelodeon documentary of, Quiet on Set and stuff like that, kids were getting harmed. And I will stand with that and say kids should be protected, especially in the film industry. And I will say Hollywood should quit hiring these people that will harm kids. But they won't listen, will they? Now let's talk about the stores back in the 90s. Now, I'm sure people do remember Blockbuster. And if you don't know what that is, it was basically you go out and rent movies and games. Sometimes you'll rent games. You can get games at a Blockbuster too. And I think there's one Blockbuster left, but it's turned into an Airbnb. But it's still around. And I wish I still had a Blockbuster card. But I remember the one time I went into a Blockbuster and we were trying to find the movie Inspector Gadget. I think it was either the cartoon or the live action with Matthew Broderick. But I remember we were looking for that, and I guess for some reason I grabbed a different movie because I guess I wasn't reading or anything, and I gave it to my dad because my dad was getting us the movie, and I guess he didn't really think to look at it because we got home, popped it into the TV, and it was not Inspector Gadget. I think my dad got in trouble that day. But anyways, we got Blockbuster. And then, if you guys really want to see some nostalgia, we're going to talk about Toys R Us. I'm surprised I still found one, still have a gift card and everything. And, ooh, how much is on here? $5! That's not going to get me anything. This inflation is just terrible. But yeah, Toys R Us was like the place to go when it was the 90s. Like, kids would love to go to Toys R Us. And I know they brought it back. Macy's has it now. But in a way, it doesn't feel the same. In a way. I mean, they still have, what's his name? Joffrey? I think that's what the giraffe's name is. But he was the mascot. And I remember as a kid, I would get these gift cards for my birthday every year from my godmother. And it would be like $50 on there. And I could get like so many things from Toys R Us. What did I get though? Pokemon games. That's what I would get with my Toys R Us. That, or I'd get some little plushies. God, I miss Toys R Us. I should really go to a Macy's and go check it out. Because when I heard that Macy's brought back Toys R Us, I was like, oh, my nostalgia. I need to go. And I have not gone yet. I'll have to see if it's true. You guys let me know if it's true, because if it is, I am going to this Toys R Us. And that's the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope some of you got some nostalgia out of this, hearing about all the things that you probably remember from the 90s that I brought up. Really got that nostalgia coming in. I make new videos every Wednesday/Thursday and Saturday. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.